Hello, welcome, Tawau, bonjour, bienvenue. My name is Jake Moore. I'm the director of the University Art Galleries and Collection at the University of Saskatchewan. I'm also a professor in art history and studio arts. This is the 12th moon we will be celebrating today. This is the 12th of a 13 moon cycle that is celebrating the Cree lunar calendar. It's been a way for us to integrate into our space different languages and teachings, dialects, and conversations that we're hoping to refigure time and space here at USask. As you know, the University of Saskatchewan is located on Treaty 6 territory. When we make this acknowledgement, it must go beyond the idea of mere words. It must be considered to be a recognition of the land that we walk on, the land we must respect, and the peoples that have lived here since time immemorial. I'm speaking of the Nehiyaw, the Dene, the Lakota, Nakota, Dakota, Michif, and Mitsi peoples, and the Soto, excuse me. So many nations have called this land home, and for those like me arriving as settlers, we must learn to care for this. And as we heard from our elders last time, we must land on this work with tender feet and walk in the right direction. So today we'll be celebrating our 12th moon. In the way we've been telling the story, we will now join now I can't say it, Tagaguapism. Close enough? Taguacapism, excuse me, the autumn moon. So as usual, we will have a meeting, a blessing come to us from our elders, Florence Highway and Evelyn Linklater. It will be followed by an introduction from Sandy Bonney, ISAP team leader of STEM. And then our guest speaker today will be Dr. Mary Longman. I'm so pleased she's back from sabbatical to join us in these next years, hopefully our recovery season, where all of us will join together to move in a good way forward.
Tanse. Nanas como na nutskagi sigak. How no tawinan kisiman to. Kinanas kumit na nanutskagi sigagi awiyak. Tatugi sigaw. Nanas kumon. Nti gulse. Nta tsagunagise. Nti nagmina. Ni mam tuniditsegan nagminise. Igi awiyak nigiskiditinan gisiman to igagi gwitipidi tamagotaski. Kida kagida giway ganita witain gagi usitayan. Kagida giway gida. Nitnan gitsawasemesak. Sawidemek nusemak. Sawidemek mina. Kagidan tutimak. Kagida winagotaski. Pugiti utsagapi witsameguak. Sawidemek wistawa ugutawagis kinoamagiwag. Mistay yatuski itsek. Egomina wistawa ugutagagi midatsek. Mam tuniditsegan wakta isimido pachita atsek tato gisigaw. Nanas kumunan gisimanto. Sawidemek agidaw utagusewak. Sawidemek agidaw mina awasak. Pugiti utse. Nanas kumunan. Tinigi igusip pitamats. Agua anuts. Nui mamis ko mauta. Tagwagi pisem gaisidigasot. Nanas kumunan niyawiyak. Nitnanuti utsegi witnok. Kapi manangi mamis kumanan yawana kugumeno gisidigatanan yagupisem awa tagwagi pisem mistay nanas kumunan igiyawiyak ewa kisimanto kidagagidagi waganita witain igiskiditaman igini igiusiat yawana tapiwichi iguak yaguti peskawi pisem nitnan gaisidigata tagwagi pisem ikuse kinanas kumon tinigi hey iguse
So welcome everybody to the University of Saskatchewan. Nido ma Florence Highway tigawin upagos siga ni gote maga otaywigian. Ipin tumigaw yago tatapik squatayak kugumeno. So Evelyn said a prayer, so I will translate that prayer for everybody. Creator, we thank you. We thank you for this beautiful day and all the things that you're lending us, Mother Earth, the air, the fires, and the waters. We ask prayers for everybody that's present here so that we be focused and have respect for one another. We pray for all the people that are sick. We pray for everybody that's having a rough time, those that are lost. We pray for the people in the hospital, those that are very sick. And we ask the grandfathers to come and sit with us, to guide us and give us strength in a good way. And we offered that much earlier. And that is a prayer we ask for strength and guidance. Hi. So Evelyn talked about the autumn moon, and that's what's coming up next. We did the flying moon, and now all the two-winged relatives have their strength, and now come autumn they're starting to exercise and do their stuff so that they get ready to go down south. And we always learn from everything. Every month that we have did in the past, we learn something from that month. And we got to be thankful for all the months that we see, because we never know what can happen. And we're so thankful that we're here in person with everybody. It has been so long because of COVID that we haven't spoken, and we miss them. So everybody be well, enjoy the day, and we thank everybody. Hi.
Hello, my name is Sandy Bonney, and I work with Indigenous Student Achievement Pathways in the College of Arts and Science. This is the autumn moon, and a lot of staff on campus, and I know students are getting ready to come back to classes. So if anyone's watching this and you haven't registered yet, you should know we have some seats available in ISAP, and they'll be held right up to the start of term. So get in touch with myself or Michaela if you're interested to learn more about that. But my real message for you today is to introduce our speaker, Mary Longman. So Mary Longman, Eski Piasis Isqueo, was born in Fort Capel, Saskatchewan, and is a Saulteaux member of Gordon First Nation. She wears two hats, both as an active practicing artist, specializing in sculpture and drawing, and as a professor of art and art history, specializing in Indigenous art history. Her work has been exhibited nationally and internationally for nearly 3 decades, and includes 2-, 3-, and 4-dimensional artwork, the latter utilizing lenticular, mixed, and digital media. And her work often examines legacies of colonization, the 60s scoop, residential schools, and the reservation system on the political, cultural, spiritual, and environmental realities of Indigenous peoples in Canada and the United States. Mary's engagement with the academic arts includes studies, residencies, instructional, administrative, research, and professorial positions with the Emily Carr Institute of Art and Design, Nova Scotia College of Art and Design, Concordia University, the University of Victoria, the Native Education Centre of Vancouver, and I may mispronounce this one, the Karionoha School in Kanawaki, and the Nicola Valley Institute of Technology, where, among other projects, Mary developed new techniques for the dating, preservation, and restoration of pictographs and other rock art. Followed by a position with the White Mountain Academy of the Arts. And now since 2007, we've been fortunate to have her working as a member of the University of Saskatchewan community. Mary has taught and mentored students in our Indigenous Student Achievement Pathways program, beginning with an Indigenized studio sculpture class back when we were called ASAP in 2012. And we're very excited that this year, coming back from sabbatical, Mary will be back teaching with the ISAP cohort in Art 136 within our Willow Hoop Fine and Performing Arts Learning Community. So, Mary.
Danse, and thank you to Sandy Bonnie for introducing me. And as she said, my name is Aski Piasuskwe. I'm from Gordon's First Nations, and I'm a visual artist and also a professor here in art and art history. I wanted to thank everybody for inviting me to speak for the Autumn Moon today, to speak to Tawaki Pisum. I wanted to acknowledge the elders that gave the prayers today, and also Jake Moore, the head of the University Galleries, for all the tremendous work that she's been doing to coordinate these events. I wanted to acknowledge the artists that put together this beautiful sculptural installation, beginning with Lyndon Tutusis. He's our artist in residence. He's Nayawak from Poundmaker First Nations, and also Sandy Bondi worked on it, and Vanessa Higgins. And I understand that also students have participated in helping to carve the work. So it's been a big teamwork of putting this great work together. I hope I say this right. Anosh Kapasi Kanau, We Rise, is the name of the piece, and it's an incredible installation, like I said, of the 13 moons. This work is an important statement towards Indigenous knowledge, presence, and territory at the University of Saskatchewan. Prior to speaking to the Autumn Moon, I wanted to talk a little bit about stones, because stones have a really big significance with Plains culture, but also for myself as a sculptor, I use natural stones a lot in my work, and there's a reason why I do that. So I just want to talk about the meaning and the teachings behind the stones. And so I just wanted to say, just historically, as Plains people know, living on the plains, that the stone has been a central medium for Indigenous people and living on the plains. And these stones and its permanence have left our historical past, in the prairie grasses and on cliffs. It's preserved the history and cultural practices of the Plains people throughout time, really. And the stones are, left behind are also markers that commemorate and document an important place or event. So it's important to speak to that history of the stones. And I also want to speak about the two properties of the stone, the physical properties and the metaphysical properties of the stone. Of course, practically speaking, the stone's physical properties served well for utilitarian purposes. Let's say, fire pits, teepee rings, caches, burial sites, and for tools and so on. Its medical physical properties of the stone is served as a medium to communicate to the spiritual realm, such as what you see in medicine wheels, pictographs, petroglyphs, petriforms, sacred boulders, amulets, and carvings such as in figures or pipes and so on. The teachings that I learned about the stones are that the stone has Manitou, which means a soul, an essence. And it's said that all living things have this Manitou, whether they're inanimate or animate. Another lesson that I learned is that stones, every stone really has a story to tell. And you can only see that unless you take time to look at it very closely. So the stones in this work here are 13 Cambrian slate slabs that are prehistoric. They date back 500 million years. And as you know, they've been used on the campus here at the Thorvaldsen building as stairs. And so over time, over 100 years, thousands of people have made their impressions and left their traces on these stones. So now, by reclaiming them, now these stones have new traces of Indigenous presence, standing tall, telling new stories of the moon and Nayawak syllabics. Now I'd like to speak about the autumn moon, Tawakipism. It is my favorite moon of the year due to how close it is and how exceptionally bright and large it is in the full moon. And every year I try to photograph it, and I never seem to be able to capture the stunning, powerful essence of that particular moon. The moon has many different names. In the Eastern nations, they call it the corn moon, and it's also referred to as the harvest moon and the barley moon. And this particular moon is a time of a season of plenty. It's when people can reap the seeds that they have sown. The fish are also plentiful. For some of the fish, it's time to spawn, head upstream, and to end their final journey. It's also a time to prepare for hunting season. Overall, it's a time to prepare food for the winter, and lastly, it's really a time to be grateful for the abundance that we have. Miigwech.